Hi, this is Adam. This is another Eye on North Carolina blog. We are here in Saxapahaw, North Carolina. We're here at Paperhand Puppet Intervention. It's a really cool theater with puppets and so many fun things. It was built in 1998, and we're going to talk to the creative director, Donovan Zimmerman, who's going to tell us more about this really wonderful place in the community. So we're here with Donovan to tour around, and what's the first thing we're going to check out here?
Well, my name's Donovan Zimmerman, and I'm the co-founder and co-artistic director of Paperhand Puppet Intervention. And we are based here in Saxapahaw, North Carolina, and we're in my studio here today. And just behind me are some of our big creations that we've made over the years. And we've got a big, giant old gymnasium here in Saxapahaw that we have full of all different sorts of creations that we've manifested over the past 15 years or so. Well, our big summer show happens once every year annually, and it's usually about 20 or so shows, 6 weekends, and it happens at the Forest Theater in Chapel Hill and also at the Museum of Art in Raleigh.
Nice.
And these are big spectacles that involve somewhere between 20 and 30 puppeteers and usually 6 to 8 musicians and some other tech crew and stuff like that. And creating these productions that have giant puppets and masks. Don Quixote. And it's just a paper mache mask that I made out of on a clay mold, and after it was all done being paper mache, I cut the mask off of the mold, and then so now it's just hollow paper mache with some foam to hold it on your head, so you can put it on like this.
That's really cool.
Oh, whoa! And this was a commission for an opera that we did with the Chamber Orchestra of the Triangle. And we take commissions, we do our annual show. We sometimes do a winter show, it just depends on what the winter is like. We pulled off probably 5 or 6 winter shows that happen in usually February or March. And so aside from that, we do parades. We sort of show up with a big truckload of a lot of things and hand it out to people, and we start playing some drums and get everybody pumped up, and then we parade down the street, and we have a lot of big things to make a big spectacle. Well, we also have a small, what I call road show that we go and do at different events, or sometimes schools. 18 years in, and we've, a couple. The other artistic director, Jan Berger, and I make our full-time living doing nothing but puppetry. I get a lot out of it and love what I do. So we do a new original production every year, and sometimes it's a long form of a story that's, usually the shows are about an hour and a half long, so sometimes it'll be an hour and a half story where you follow the same protagonist and a bunch of different stuff will happen to them, or we'll divide it up into, say, 4 sections, and we'll tell 4 either myths or stories that we like. Sometimes it's just what I would call pageantry, which you're steering the audience's emotion and you're telling a story, but the story is very wide, like the cycles of life. The audience is going with you on this journey, but they're able to kind of create layers to the story that we...
With their own personal experiences.
Yeah. From their own experiences. And so we try to speak in the language of dreams sometimes and not be so literal that people are being spoon-fed a story, but every once in a while we just, straight up narrate and say, here's the story. And people really like that as well. But we like to mix it up and just keep challenging ourselves. And but as far as who writes them, it's myself and Jan Berger, who's the other co-founder of Paperhand. Yeah, and this guy right here, this is, hopefully you can tell, but this is Poseidon. And we made Poseidon. We decided to put a lot of different found objects, like this old hammock that's in here, and plastic, and make them kind of real seaweedy and raggle-taggy, because we did this piece. He's got these nice earrings here, which are like a piece of these old crocheted hammocks. This piece was quite intense. It was about the Pacific gyre and how we're polluting the oceans, and we had a big spinning gyre on the stage, which was just a big kind of a huge piece of cloth covered in trash and things, and he rose up in the middle, and his body was actually made of the gyre, and then his hands came up, and it was sort of like, what would Poseidon look like if he rose from the oceans right now? And so, I mean, it was a powerful way to speak about the oceans, but yet use this mythical context for present day, which I think is sort of quintessentially what we're aiming at, is to use that Joseph Campbell myth power that's in all of us, the stories that make up human beings and humanity itself. And then, so then what we had to do, because it was the same year as the big oil spill, these tear ducts here under his eyes, so he had these black oil, like long streams of tears that these animals kind of slowly pulled out of his eyes, and it was a really interesting way to help the audience kind of collectively feel the trauma of that to the earth. And a lot of people cried unexpectedly. We wanted to be kind of hard hitting, but we weren't expecting people to just be in tears. Tears of like, this is really powerful, and people were feeling the impact of how intense something like that is to the earth, when all these creatures, where we just poison this entire huge area. My whole set of experiences in life up to the point where I started making these things is my inspiration, and it continues to be now. Just looking around and taking the world in and trying to reflect it back in some kind of interesting way. I'm really interested in reflecting our humanity back to ourselves, so that somehow, maybe with that reflection, that some good could possibly manifest out of that, and that we could get on a little bit of a better path. If we want to survive ourselves and our impact in the world, that we have to do some of this reflecting and thoughtful living. So puppetry allows you to slow down and look at someone bringing something to life, and because of that one step removal, where you know that it's not really alive, but you're seeing it come to life, allows people to sort of suspend their disbelief and really sort of go into the worlds that we create. Yeah, like we wanted to create this this giant sun came about 10 years ago. I wanted to have a face that was compassionate and kind, and yet a little bit piercing and just but very engaging. And we decided to just make the body into starting with the land and the water and the mountains and the birds and the clouds and the stars, so everything under the sun, basically. That just gives people hope, and that's been one of our big, I guess, motivations, is to inspire people. So my inspiration actually is to inspire people, and when I see that happening, which I do at our shows, it's thrilling for me to just see people get filled up with a lot of creative juice and get pumped up about living their life on this planet. Hope in people, and even though we're not afraid to show some of the darker sides of human story, because there's important lessons to be learned there as well. But yeah, life is full.
It is. Well, thank you, Donovan, so much for giving us a tour, and we really appreciate it. And you guys have a lot to offer to the community and the whole state, the world. I mean, anytime you can help people through art, it's very touching. So thank you very much.